I remember when I was a teenager, I'd spend the vast majority of my time watching as much anime as I could. Maybe I was marathoning an arc in One Piece, or getting my mind blown by Cowboy Bebop, or just being envious of the harem that someone like Keitaro got himself in Love Hina. It didn't matter to me. Either way, my parents would always eventually come in my room, shake their heads and remark something along the lines of, "Are you still not out of this phase yet? You'll grow out of it. Eventually." And every time I thought to myself, yeah right mum and dad, like I'd ever get bored of this. Or will I? You see, they weren't the only people to have said this to me, and as far as I can tell, I was the only one my age who was still in this phase, whatever that meant. A phase that started, like for so many others, with the explosion of Pokemon. Now, if you weren't around when Pokemon first came along, it's kind of hard to explain how much of a huge impact it had on the anime and nerd culture in general, and how many of us are actually fans of anime today because of it. A craze that seemingly hit the entire world simultaneously, taking a stranglehold on a generation of kids that were none the wiser. Bulbasaur, Squirtle or Charmander was the biggest decision everyone had made in their lives. We were all glued to the TV screens wondering when the hell Ash would finally become a Pokemon master, and playgrounds would be filled with kids rifling through each other's Pokemon deck akin to a grade school level black market drug deal. Got, haven't got. Oh damn, I always wanted that shiny, was all you can hear when you walk through, and it was great. But eventually the craze died out and everyone moved on. Everyone grew out of it. Except for me. See, while everyone started to forget, I was still going strong. I would catch every episode I could, record them on my VHS player and rewatch them a million times until the tape burned itself out from rewinding so much. Hell, I even themed my whole room around Pokemon. But what was really important is that it opened the door to something new for me. Digimon, Cardcaptors, Dragon Ball Z, all these unique animations that were unlike any other cartoons that were available. And while I didn't know the exact name of what they were, I was discovering a new world I wanted to see more of. I didn't know it, but this was the start of my anime fandom. I was 12 years old when I got my first wake-up call. My pencil case that was filled with Pokemon-themed stationery was dropped, and the entire contents was spilled out in full view in front of a group of girls. And it wasn't just any girls, it was the popular girls. They looked at it, they looked at me, and burst out laughing, telling me I'd never get a girlfriend in my life if I haven't grown out of Pokemon yet. To this day, I have never felt so much shame for enjoying something I love. And from then on until just as I was reaching full adulthood, I never told a single soul that I liked anime. Thinking back, the ironic thing is, I was still a kid, liking things that kids should like. Unfortunately though, that's the way things were. And as I grew older, I started to properly learn what anime actually was, and my love for it only increased. Every week I was discovering new shows better than the last, new universes to explore, characters to know, stories to get absorbed in, and I had to keep it all to myself, which at the time was pretty easy. I was that quiet kid in class that no one really noticed or cared for. I didn't have a group or clique. I wasn't part of any after school clubs or anything. School passed me by and that was it. I had nowhere to belong there. Maybe I never did. But to me, that was fine, because what I alone knew was that when the bell rang and I could go home, there was a whole nother world that I could be a part of. A fantastical world where you can be anything. Ninjas, pirates, samurai fighting against the greater odds, mecha pilots taking part in the most advanced wars you can imagine, or being at the center of a harem where girls are actually interested in someone like you. Of course it was in the real world, I knew it was in the real world, but the beauty of it was for a moment, for that brief period, it allowed me to just forget. It sounds stupid now, but some of the highlights of my adolescence was discovering my love for anime. It was a time that I could easily get away from the world for just a bit, my way to take 5 from life. And I think this is the reason I found it so hard to get into slice of life anime. I couldn't wrap my head around why you'd want to watch a reflection of something I wanted to escape on. I just couldn't relate. As I reached the end of my adolescence, after years of conditioning telling me that I would grow out of this phase eventually, I wondered why I hadn't. I wondered if it was normal seeing as I was the only person I knew who was so into this stuff. Still. Maybe I was just weird, maybe I'd be living with my mum for the rest of my life, or maybe I would grow out of this eventually. right? What I didn't fully understand back then, and what I wish I did, was that I wasn't alone, and I know I'm not the only one who thought this. See, there were a group of us who had the same routine. Doppelgangers rushing back to school to catch the latest episode of Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, mischievously staying up late to watch the elusive Cowboy Bebop on Adult Swim, or pretending to throw your tiara like you were part of Sailor Moon. If you were a girl, of course. The boys were just secretly miming the Kamehameha wave whenever they could. We all thought we were by ourselves. We all thought we were the only ones. But what we didn't realise was that these TV networks were speaking to a whole generation. A generation we didn't even know we were a part of until the internet gave us a voice, a whole community and a place to gather. Suddenly we saw there were others everywhere, just like us, hiding there all along. Not only in anime but every facet of nerd culture. Gaming, comics, cartoons, it didn't matter. We all wanted to be heard, and boy did the world listen. Being a nerd suddenly wasn't looked down on anymore. In fact, it was cool. Gaming started to be accepted by everyone. Comic book movies made liking superheroes a cool thing, and people actually started to learn what the hell anime was. Not only that, but we had more of it than ever before. Nerd stuff wasn't just being made by some old farts anymore. Nerd stuff was being made by other nerds, inspired by everything that came before them and who truly understand the audience they were appealing to, because they were one of us. Instead of people growing out of it, you have people growing back into it. Even the jocks you knew nothing about in school now have something small in common with you. The whole culture has changed in the time I've grown up, and when people ask me why I want anime to become more popular, maybe I'll come up with some argument about how more fans would help the industry create more awesome stuff, which is not untrue, but deep inside, I don't ever want anyone to be made to feel ashamed for being absolutely passionate about this medium, like I was. We are graduates from a class of only 90s kids will remember, only 80s kids will relate, only 70s kids will truly appreciate. A generation that had the Force with them, going back to the future, who wanted to be the best, like no one ever was. So, will we grow out of it like we were told when we were kids? Well, we will grow older, grow wiser, or dumber, maybe, and change over time, which is inevitable. It's easy to look forward in the future and think that you are the person you are and nothing will ever change that. Yet look back in the past and realise how much you've changed and learned every year. No matter who you are in the world, living an adult life is different from your adolescence. Perhaps your interests will change, perhaps you'll burn out and have less time to spend on the hobby, and perhaps other commitments will take over. Who knows? But I don't think there will ever be a point when you'll get bored of feeling that same excitement you did as a kid, experiencing or discovering something truly wonderful. Maybe it was geeking out when you saw the Avengers assemble for the first time in live action, getting shocked when watching Madoka Magica for the first time, or dropping in awe in some of One Punch Man's fights. That feeling will be something we can never grow out of, even if it doesn't come as easily as we grow older. You'll grow out of anime, they said. You'll grow out of gaming, they said. You'll grow out of comics, they said. Except we didn't. We never grew out of it. We're growing up with it.